So I've termed the natural genetic arising of such experiential entities as laughter or hunger. Hunger is a more primitive one that develops much earlier in evolution. So hunger is a wonderful invention of nature. See? Hunger hunger tells you when you have to eat, what you have to eat, how much you have to eat, and it makes you want to go and find the food. All that information in one feeling. Whew. How do you design such a thing? It's fantastic. Hunger. And before there was hunger, there were little cells, you see. They know how to go. They go to where they need a particular chemical. They lack this chemical, and they search around to find a place, and they stop there, and they ingest the chemical, and then they go somewhere else where they need some other chemical. And that is called by the name of chemotaxis. And people don't think that these cells are conscious and they feel hunger, but probably don't. And so that works pretty well. But then somewhere along the chain of evolution, that what the feeling got established that urges the animal to move, to go somewhere where there might be food, to know what is food, what isn't food, to eat, to know when they've eaten enough. And all that is encapsulated in that feeling entity. Well, this is a fabulous thing. The potential of that, we can't even understand how the potential for that works itself out in that instance. You know, where is the potential? What does it need to do to establish itself before there is a feeling instead of just part of the chain of evolution? So in the structure of an animal, as it evolves, we have a concept of morphogenesis, how structures arise. And we know quite a bit about that. But I've suggested the term logogenesis when some entity like hunger arises. And that, of course, only works if there's consciousness. That's the real difference, is consciousness enables such an entity as hunger to arise. The potential for hunger doesn't exist without consciousness. We don't know what consciousness is in another mode of explanation. We have a word for it, and it's not a bad word. Some words are really bad, and some are just mediocre. This one, there is very clear that there is something like consciousness because you lose it. Somebody hits you on the head hard enough, you lose it for a while, it comes back, unless it hits you too hard. But you also lose it at night when you fall asleep. It changes. There are times when it seems to disappear altogether, dreamless sleep. And then there's dreams. Wow, what that is. Nobody knows what dreams really are. Freud did a wonderful job in elucidating the mental situations with respect to dreams and what promotes the dream. But basically, the phenomenon of dreaming itself, just imagine what a creative function that is. Even the dumbest person, when they dream, they create the people in the dream, they make the dress, they make the story where they go, the next thing, scenario, everything, and they never have to worry, what am I going to dream next? How am I going to continue this dream? Like a writer has to do. You know, you can do writes a novel. What are they going to do? You don't worry about this when you dream. It comes to you. There's a natural flow in the dream. Yet, often dreams are designed. You can then go back, and once you have a dream, you can see how that dream is actually so impelled in your consciousness. And that Freud did a good deal of work on that, of course. So, so we all have that, what we call imagination, which is a kind of a dirty word, because we don't know what it is. But we use it. And it's not a process. It's not a noun. It's more of a process. So I imagine this. That makes more sense. Like use it as a verb. Try to imagine, like a person, for example, loves to go to the beach. And the time comes when he goes to the beach, looks forward to it so much. And so with our centric cycles, we'll do a lot of imagining. So I think it comes to the beach, let's say in Florida, wherever. He lies down in the sand, and there's a lot of noise there, and the flies come and sit on him. Doesn't know what to do. It's so unpleasant. And a friend with him says to him, after a while, it's terrible. And he says to him, well, imagine you're on a beach, and it's beautiful, and the sun is in this, just wonderful. Imagine it. Yeah, imagine. It's better than the real thing in this case, because in this case there were flies there and all sorts of things, so it was unpleasant. But use the imagination, if I may use that word. And so, once with the Casals, I remember he was playing the E major prelude, Bach Prelude and Fugues in the first book. Da 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 dee da da da. A kind of a pastoral, wonderful, wonderful thing. And he says to me as he was playing, he says, "It's like perfume, isn't it?" And I said to myself, perfume? I would have never imagined perfume with this. But he was right. It was like, evoked kind of a perfume. And then I thought to myself, well, if I had taken some perfume and put it on the Casal's nose, he would have said to me, take that away, I don't want to smell this. And so the imaginary perfume of that Bach prelude was more acceptable, it was enjoyable, was wonderful to him, more so than had been a real perfume at that moment. So that's the power of music in a sense. It's the power of the imagining. And it's a kind of power that must have led to the logogenesis of hunger in some way. Now, talking about contagion, you see that one of my papers some years ago I wrote about contagion of these emotions. And the editor wrote back, never heard of something like that, absurd, having emotions being contagious? That's ridiculous. And then, of course, now in psychology, it's an accepted term. But when I used it, they rejected this use. So that's what happens.